So this is video 1, chapter 1, elementary algebra, called the basics. So this would be considered 1.1 on the syllabus. And what we're going to do here is this whole chapter is just basic stuff. So if a lot of it just seems like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? I have to learn this again. Yes, you do. It just helps to kind of get everybody on the same page. Some people struggle more in math than others, and some people need these basics. So the first thing that they talk about on page 3 is the word variable. Sorry if you can't read my writing. I try to say the words so that you know what that says. It says variable. And a variable is written as a letter of the alphabet, and all it does is it represents the unknown, something that you don't know. So let's say you're driving from point A to point B, and you are driving 60 miles an hour, and you know that it's 240 miles, and you want to figure out how long it's going to take you to get there. That how long is your unknown. So if you take 60 miles an hour times how far the amount of time it's going to get to be there, it's going to be 240 miles. So 60 miles an hour times how long you drive, how many hours you drive, equals the distance. So you could put a question mark there. You could write out the words, how long do I have to drive, or you could use time, or you could use in algebra what they call a variable, and you could put an x in there, meaning I don't know what that number is, but I'm going to work at finding out what that number is. So that's what a variable is. It's just a letter that represents the answer that you haven't found yet. And since you can't put an answer down, you have to put something down. So we put down a variable. All right, so you know the addition sign. You know the subtraction sign, you know the division sign, but one of the things that they have instead of a division sign in algebra is a lot of times they'll write it like this. So this division sign is the line right there, and that means 8 divided by 4. So it's nice to be able to use that. You also write it as this as well, okay? This is the most common when you're doing algebra. All right, then you have the multiplication symbol, and the multiplication symbol really makes some changes. You used to use a symbol that looked like an X, but when you're doing algebra and you have 3x equals 12, now what is that? Is that a multiplication sign, or is that the letter X? So they don't use an X anymore. Instead of that, they use a dot. So 3 times 4 can be written like that. Okay? Another way of doing it is 3x. That means 3 times the letter x. If I have two numbers that I want to multiply and I don't want to write it like this, I can write it like this. So whenever I have numbers or letters together and there's no symbol at all, it automatically means that you're going to multiply. I could also write it like this if I'm really into writing parentheses, and I really think I need to do that. All right, so these parentheses are called grouping symbols. And grouping symbols, what they do is they tell you what order to do certain things, called the order of operations. So I'm going to go into exponents first before I start talking about order of operations. Here's a little picture here from page number 5 where we have exponents, which is again another symbol, and that symbol is right there, that 2, that 5, and that 3. All right, so again, just as a reminder, and if I'm going too fast, you can hit a button on YouTube that'll slow me down. 5 squared means 5 twice. 5 times 5. 2 to the 5th means 2 5 times. 10 to the 3rd means 10 3 times. It does not mean 10 times 3 is 30. It means 10 times 10, which is 100, times 10, which is 1,000. So 10 cubed is 1,000. 2 to the 5th. 2, 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16, times 2 is 32. And you will catch yourself getting 10 for that, and because you will multiply 2 times 5. You will get 10 for that because you will catch yourself doing 5 times 2. I mean, that's the way we are. We forget how to do these sometimes, and so you will make some mistakes along the way, but that's how you learn this stuff. All right, the next part is the order of operations. Now, way back in the olden days, a bunch of math geeks got together, and they decided that if I'm going to string some numbers together, like 3 times 5, that's supposed to be a dot, plus 2, is that 3 times 5 is 15 plus 2 is 17, or is it 5 plus 2 is 7 times 3 is 21? Which one is it? Okay. Well, either one could be right. But what these math guys did is they decided, you know what, we're going to come up with a set of rules on what we do with our numbers in what order. And we're going to make that rule work all over the world, so everybody that does math will do it the same way so that everybody gets the same answer. So when you have, in fact, let's bring up one right here, if I can make it move. All right, so if I have something like this, all right, let's look at this one right here, C. What is that answer? Is it 2 times 5 is 10, plus 2 is 12, times 6 is 72, plus 3 is 75, times 4 is 300? Or is the answer different than that? Do I do things in a different order? Now, if I followed the order from left to right, that's what I would get as 300, I think. I mean, if I did everything right. So they came up with this rule, and they said, you know what? Let's do what's inside the innermost parentheses first. Okay? See, we have these braces here and here, but they're not as far in as you can go. The parentheses I have there underlined in blue are as far as you can go. Okay, so let's look at this first. So let's look at the parentheses first. And then we're going to figure out, are we going to go 6 plus 3 is 9 times 4 is 36? Or are we going to do 3 times 4 is 12 plus 6 is 18? So they said, let's do multiplication first. I mean, it didn't matter. They just had to come up with a way to do it. All right, so actually there's an E here that you do first, which is exponents. You do all the exponents first, which there's an exponent, and there's an exponent, and there's an exponent, but we'll get to some of those later. But we don't have any exponents in this one, so we skip that. So the next one is multiply. So that means we are going to do this multiplication first, and then add 6 to it, and then multiply it by 2. Okay, because after the M comes a D for division, and then an A for addition, and an S for subtraction. Now this is where it gets a little tricky. The M and the D is multiplication and division, and that means multiplication and division from left to right, whichever order it happens. Okay? So, for example, let's look at B. It says 12 divided by 4 times 2. So which one do I do? Do I do the multiplication first, or do I do the division first? Well, according to the rule that I said here, multiplication or division from left to right, whichever one comes first, I do. This one, division, comes first. So 12 divided by 4 is 3, times 2 is 6. Okay, down here, division, right there. 12 divided by 4 is 3. 2 times 3 is 6. So I'm going to do the division and the multiplication first. So let's look back at this one. Now we said 12 divided by 4 is 3, times 2 is 6. So the answer for B is 6. All right. This part here, addition and subtraction, is the same thing. You do addition and subtraction from left to right. Whichever one comes first, you just do it. If you had 3 minus 4 plus 6, well, the subtraction comes first, so you do it. You start on the left-hand side and you come up to a subtraction sign or an addition sign. You do that, and then you go to the next one and do that. Okay? So, it's not like you have to do all the addition first and then go back and do all the subtraction. This means that you do the addition or the subtraction from left to right, depending on when it occurs. Alright, so this being the case, this is called PEMDAS, or it used to be called Please Excuse My Dear Aunt Sally. Or like junior high students I used to teach would say, Please electrocute my dear Aunt Sally. So we'll stick with please excuse or just use the word PEMDAS. So let's look at E. E says, do parentheses first. Well, we don't have any parentheses, so we do the exponents because that's what is next here. So the exponents are 2 to the 4th. So 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 is 16, plus 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. I'm just going to leave the division alone. I'm not going to do it yet until I do all the exponents. Okay? And then I see if there's any multiplication. Nope. Is there any division? Yes, right there's some division. So 16 plus 27 divided by 9 is 3. And then I do my addition and subtraction from left to right, and I just do it as it comes. So there's 19 minus 16 equals 3. So my answer is 3. Okay? So let's see if I can get rid of this. And we'll go ahead and do D and call that good. So D says that we're supposed to do parentheses. There aren't any. Exponents. There aren't any. Multiplication or division from left to right. Well, there's one there. So we've got 10 plus 3 plus 2 times 3 is 6. So I can do both of those in one fell swoop. 10 plus 3 is 13 plus 6 is 19 for D. Okay? So I only have 15 minutes of video time before I run out. So this is going to be the first video. It's going to be 1.1a, and I'll shut this off and I'll continue on with this lesson with 1.1b. And we will be at the top of page 7.